What is up, everybody? This is Adam. Welcome back to Fouled Out. We have our Super Bowl matchup, the Seattle Seahawks versus my favorite team, the Patriots of New England. Matt will be joining the podcast shortly to recap the AFC and NFC Championship game from this past Sunday and start looking ahead to Super Bowl 60. Then we will be back next week, same Fouled Out place, same Fouled Out time, to do our full Super Bowl breakdown, give picks, talk about narratives. I'll give all my fake props again this year. Super fun show looking ahead to the big game. But before I bring Matt on, I want to talk about another Patriots legend, former head coach Bill Belichick. It was announced yesterday that Bill will not be a first ballot Hall of Famer, which is ludicrously asinine. He is almost unanimously considered the greatest coach of all time. He is factually the most accomplished head coach of all time. He's second in wins, first in playoff wins, first in Super Bowls. He has 6 as a head coach, 2 as a coordinator. The number 2 in that category for coaches with Super Bowls is Chuck Noll, who had 4. So Bill has double the amount of the second place guy. And there's no football reason to not vote for him to be in the Hall of Fame. It's purely political. And there's been a lot of great coverage on this from a lot of sources, so I won't spend a lot of time on it. But my take on this voting process is that the Board of Trustees for the Hall of Fame needs to review the vote and fire every voter or replace every voter who did not vote for Bill Belichick. Because it's either politically motivated, like they didn't like him. There's been a lot of smoke about Bill Polian leading the charge to keep Bill Belichick out, which, of course he would, because all he ever did was whine and bitch about Bill Belichick for years. And I know that Bill's come out, he's like, I voted for Bill Belichick. That's fucking bullshit. Bill Polian's a whiny little bitch and absolutely led the charge to keep him out. But anyone who kept him out, it was purely not for football reasons. And I know they think they're like, oh, we're protecting the integrity of the Hall of Fame because he quote unquote cheated. This dude is by far the greatest coach who's ever coached football at any level. And they're keeping him out because they don't like him. So instead of quote unquote protecting the Hall of Fame, all they have done is make a mockery of the Hall of Fame. They have devalued the Hall of Fame, and they've devalued what it means to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. Because if Bill Belichick's not, nobody is. Nobody deserves that honor if Bill Belichick doesn't, because, again, objectively, the most accomplished football coach of all time, an almost unanimous opinion, the best ever. So I would be pissed if I was on that committee and I voted for Bill Belichick, because I think that all 50 people on that committee absolutely look like a joke right now. You have to question the credibility of every single member of that committee, because we don't know who voted for him and who didn't, because the vote is secret. And people can come out and say, well, I voted for him all they want. But the entire process has become a joke overnight, because literally the one dude, if there's anybody who has ever been in the Hall of Fame who has ever deserved it, aside from Jerry Rice, it was Bill Belichick, being unanimous first ballot, whatever you want to call it. And they've kept him out for petty political reasons. So I think that completely devalues what it means to be a Hall of Famer. I think it extremely devalues what it means to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. And basically, we're going to look at it and say, there should never be a first ballot Hall of Famer again. I honestly, I'd replace the entire committee that let this happen. I would definitely replace the 10 people who did not vote for Bill. That would be the first thing I would do, is fire those people and announce exactly who they were, because everybody on that committee just lost credibility. Period. I would be furious if I was on that committee. So obviously I'm not happy about it. The Hall of Fame is not really something I care about that much, because, if this doesn't show you that it's a popularity contest and not actually about football, and it's the same thing with every sport, is that it's all about these old salty writers and GMs and all these people who have personal opinions about everybody. It's not objective. They did the same thing to Terrell Owens, and it was because they didn't like him. And that was enough of a travesty. This is just downright one of the dumbest things that has ever happened in sports. And I know, like I said, it's fun to dunk on Bill. I like to make fun of Bill just as much as the next person for his post-Patriots career. But it's ludicrous to do this to somebody who actually cares about the history of these things too. Like the people who led the charge against him, like Bill Polian, absolutely knew that Bill cares about the history of football and actually cares about this honor. Like so many people get this honor who just, it doesn't really matter to them. This is something that he actually cared about. And because you could never beat him on the field, you had to do this to him off the field. And it's embarrassing for everyone who's on that committee. It should be embarrassing for the board of trustees. And this is something I think needs to be rectified immediately. It's an absolute joke. You just made the entire NFL Hall of Fame an absolute joke. So congratulations for those of, the people on the committee who wanted to keep him out. This is embarrassing. It's way more embarrassing for all of you than it is for Bill to not get in. He will get in, I'm sure, next year. After this, there will be a big push to make sure he does. And I hope for his sake that he doesn't accept, he doesn't go to the Hall of Fame to do the speech. I'm sure he will, because say what you will about him and his 24-year-old girlfriend, he's still a classy individual. And he won't come out and bitch about this as much as the rest of us will on his behalf. But if I was him, I would do the same thing Terrell Owens did. I'd be like, no, you guys have to come to me, and we're doing it at my girlfriend's house. We're doing it at my girlfriend's college dorm is where I'm accepting this award. So anyway, fuck Bill Polian, and the Hall of Fame is a joke. Congratulations, guys. You did it. You kept Bill out, and you made the entire process an absolute joke. With that said, just a reminder, you can reach out to us, fouledoutsports@gmail.com. Really appreciate you guys' support. Thank you for listening or watching on YouTube. If you haven't checked out the YouTube, go over, search Fouled Out Sports. We have all of the video podcasts and all of our shorts over there. But however you guys are supporting the pod, really appreciate you. Hit me up. You want to talk whatever, football, basketball, baseball, anything. I'll get you back. I really enjoy the listener emails, so keep those coming. With that said, let's grab Matt. Let's talk about the New England Patriots being in their 13th Super Bowl and 11th since I started watching football. Let's go. All right, Matt is here, fresh off of conference championship weekend. Matt, you feeling ready for Super Bowl 60?
I mean, that number doesn't feel right.
Yeah. I saw it the other day and I was like, it can't possibly be 60. But here we are, the Super Bowl 60 between the Seattle Seahawks and the LA Rams. And the Seahawks won it. Congratulations. Seahawks, they won the Super Bowl. There's no game in 2 weeks, right? The way that everybody is talking about Super Bowl 60, it already happened. There's no game in 2 weeks. Congrats. When is the parade for Seattle, Matt?
Finding the one day a year that it doesn't rain there.
It was an excellent Super Bowl between Seattle and the Rams the other day. I really enjoyed it, and every single beat writer in the world has told me we're not playing in 2 weeks and that Seattle's already won. So congrats to the Seahawks. That's it for the podcast. It's not like there's another team in the Super Bowl in 2 weeks that they still have to beat. I can bitch about that later. Did you enjoy championship weekend, Matt?
I found myself very conflicted on the merits of cold weather football.
I found myself very conflicted on the merits of AFC football. We're going to do a little recap of the games and talk about how we felt about the AFC and NFC Championship. Little change of pace from us in the playoffs because we do have another week before the Super Bowl. Let's start with the AFC Championship, the latest quote-unquote blizzard game. Mm-hmm. The Patriots beat the Denver Broncos 10-7 in what was definitely one of the football games that I've watched. It was a football game. My number one takeaway from this game was I feel like I would never get over this if I was a Denver fan. Fortunately for the Broncos, they do have 3 Super Bowls. One was in 2015. So I think the majority of fans that are old enough to talk football at this point have watched the Denver Broncos win a championship. So it's not like, a team that's never won one. But man, it hurts my feelings to say this, but Denver was very clearly the better team on Sunday. Defense for Denver absolutely dominated that entire game. Drake had no time to throw the majority of the game, and when he did, the coverage was amazing by Denver, and he had nowhere to go with the ball. In most games, it's like, oh man, well, if our quarterback just would have played, like if we just would have had Bo Nix, we could have won. And you can like sit here and argue and be like, I don't know about that. Like this things could have changed and blah blah blah. If Denver had Bo Nix, they would have won that game. And I like, even as a Patriots fan who's watched my team win 6 Super Bowls, there are still games that haunt me that I still think about all the time. You know, like the 2007 Super Bowl against the Giants, the 2011. There's a lot of games where when I think about them, I cringe. I think this is that moment for Denver fans, especially if the Patriots go on to win the Super Bowl, which we still have to play. I don't know if people know that. The Super Bowl still has to be played. Seattle hasn't won it yet. There is a game. We are going to play Super Bowl 60. Contrary to popular belief and what ESPN would tell you, there is a football game in 2 weeks. And the Patriots can win it. It's a game. Either team can win it. If the Patriots do win it, this is one as a Denver fan that I would just sit there and think about like every day for a very long time.
In both of these games, we're gonna pinpoint, honestly, like one play that was the determining factor in that game. And for me, in this game, it was Jarrett Stidham's fumble that wasn't a fumble, and then it was a fumble again. And it directly led to a quick and easy 7 points 2 plays later for the New England Patriots. First of all, just in the playoffs in general, you cannot, in general, turn the ball over, but especially turn the ball over that deep in your own territory and set up the opposing offense for an easy touchdown. You're putting your defense in an awful position. You especially cannot do that in a game where you know the elements are going to be a significant factor and that scoring is going to be at a premium. Every moment the game goes on, the storm closes in more and more, the conditions get worse, it gets harder to score points. Time becomes a significant factor.
The Jarrett Stidham propaganda last week, I seriously felt like I was taking crazy pills with how out of hand the Jarrett Stidham propaganda got of like, you know, again, I keep bringing up Peter Schrager, like Peter Schrager and all of these like fancy ESPN people and Yahoo Sports and USA Today are all like, oh, that Sean Payton is perfectly comfortable going to war with Jarrett Stidham. They love Stiddy and Mile High. When they made a board Sean Payton's first year, and the number one name on the board of free agents they wanted to acquire was Jarrett Stidham. They love him. They're so confident in him, blah, blah, blah. And he absolutely blew that game for them with that one play. I mean, he wasn't great outside of that play. I think, Patriots defense deserves some credit there. But
I think the Patriots defense played pretty well. I thought outside of that play, he played okay. Like, I mean, his team had the lead.
Yeah, well, I mean,
there, right? Like,
it's one of those things of like, what do you expect from a guy who hasn't thrown a pass in like 2 years or 735 days, whatever it is?
Yeah.
He was 17
pass in an actual NFL game that means something. Yeah.
Yeah, he was 17 of 31 for 133, 1 touchdown, 1 pick, but 54 of those yards came on a blown coverage by Christian Gonzalez to start the game, where it just kind of seemed like the Patriots are like, well, they're not going to throw deep, so let's not cover deep. And then they immediately threw deep and got a touchdown. I will say, like, I was listening to all the Jarrett Stidham propaganda last week, and I was like, okay, God, this is so ridiculous. And then I started watching that game, and I watched that like second drive where I think Stidham hit like 6 of his first 7 for like 80 yards and a touchdown, and I was like, oh shit, the propaganda was all true. Oh no. And then he became the Jared Stidham that I've known and not loved for years after the Patriots drafted him. But it really felt like what happened was like, Broncos score, they immediately get a stop.
Yeah.
And I want to talk about the Patriots offense here in a little bit, but they get a stop, they get the ball back. They're driving down, they get in field goal range and get that 4th and 1. And Sean Payton decides to go for it. He's like, we're going to, it's immediately blown up by the Patriots. Like, great play by the Patriots, the interior defensive lineman. Immediately blown up. Play is stopped. Patriots get the ball. And it just felt like from then on, it was just all downhill for Jared Stidham.
Yeah, I will say, it seems to me that one head coach had a feel for the way this game was going to go, and the other one did not. Right? Like, it really seemed like Vrabel's plan on winning this game is just don't lose it, and we'll figure it out as this game plays out. Because, like, knowing full and well that, like, this game is going to get like, as the weather gets worse, it's going to get real sloppy. And I mean, if you're Sean Payton today, are you not second guessing that decision to not just take the 3 points?
Yeah, I mean, you have to second guess it because it's results oriented where they didn't get it. But like, if they had scored a touchdown, nobody would be questioning it. I don't.
Yes, and like, I don't think it's unreasonable to think coming into that game, I'm starting a backup quarterback in a game where the weather's going to get really bad and there's not going to be a lot of points scored. So taking whatever points I know I can get right now is the advantage. Getting as many points as I can now before the storm really gets out of hand, because points will be at a premium afterwards.
Yeah, but I don't hate going for it in that situation. And I guess I'll explain why by asking you a question. Did you, going into that game, did you think 10 points was going to be enough to beat the Patriots?
If I knew what the conditions would be, I might think it would be enough. But outside of that knowledge, probably not, right?
Yeah, it was early first quarter, like what one was it? Like mid-late first quarter that they went for it. Going into that game, and you can go back and listen to the breakdown last week, I thought the Patriots were going to be able to score a little bit on Denver. I was horrifically mistaken. And the snow didn't hit until like late in the third and really got bad in the fourth. So
it started like right around halftime, but
it was cold and like breezy too. But like,
I
wouldn't have thought that.
I would say the footing became an issue like midway through the third.
That's fair. I wouldn't have thought that 10 points was going to be enough to beat the Patriots. And I was kind of looking at it like, I'm starting a backup quarterback. Contrary to the propaganda, they know who Stidham is in that room. How many chances am I going to have to get points? And I know people use that as the justification for like, oh, you should have kicked a field goal. How many chances are you going to have? But I would rather have 14 than 10. The Patriots really had not stopped them to that point in the game. Like, they were moving the ball well. I'm not going to slaughter Sean Payton for.
I also think that if I'm Sean Payton and I watched what was done to New England's offense the previous week, and I'm looking at my defense, I'm like, no, we can do that.
Yeah, but the previous week they played arguably better defense.
Arguably, but
21 points. But
I like you could almost argue that the way that Denver's defense blitzes relentlessly makes them an even worse matchup for New England.
Well, anecdotally, the Texans defense is not better than Denver's. There is no better defense than Denver's. That was absolutely fucking brutal. I mean, if Stidham hadn't fumble, backward pass, whatever, which like, can I just say that made no sense because he does it. Right. So like he pump fakes the screen, doesn't throw it, tries to like get rid of it, and it goes out to the side. The Patriots pick it up and immediately score. Right. It's a clear recovery and touchdown. So literally they're reviewing it. The only two options are touchdown or incomplete pass. There is no other option.
I'm going to push back on you on that though, because just because you keep running after the whistle doesn't mean the play's not dead. Like,
no, but this is the whole point of review.
Right. No. Like, there's always been the rule. Once the whistle blows, the play is dead, right? Like, we can't go back and change that basic rule of football, right? Whether or not they got the call right, like, okay, we can certainly have that conversation, right? But once they start blowing the fucking whistle, like, the play's dead. Like, your return, once the whistle has been blown, doesn't fucking matter.
I disagree with that. This is like,
it doesn't, because it's your team.
Well, we scored right after anyway. It doesn't matter. I'm just saying from a reffing perspective, the whole point of replay is if there's a clear recovery and a touchdown, that you give them the touchdown.
But it wasn't a touchdown when the play was ruled dead.
Well, it wasn't. It was called an incomplete pass.
Yeah.
It wasn't called a fumble on the field.
How are you going to return a play that's dead?
If you're reversing it and saying it's a fumble, then the play wasn't dead.
But it was because the whistle was blown. You can't just say there should have been a return because we were wrong.
They called it incomplete pass, though, on the field.
Yeah, and then the play was over and they just kept running the ball.
If we want to do that,
then there's going to be a lot of stupid-ass plays in the NFL.
There already is.
And
that was a stupid-ass play.
So here's my thing, too, is that, like, them blowing that play dead, like, from the player safety angle, that is the right thing to do. Because we have seen so many times that they just let it go because, maybe it is a fumble. And then we decide, actually, it was incomplete. But how many injuries can happen in the 3 seconds that happen afterwards? Like, for once, they actually kind of did the right thing there. They were wrong, but they did the right thing. Like, they thought it was an incomplete pass. They blew it dead. Because of the precedent that the NFL has set, obviously the players are still going to return it and try to get the 7 points, right? But, like, that is how you should be reffing if we are going to say that player safety is important. If you think the play's dead, you blow the whistle.
We'll agree to disagree, because I think you still could have given him the touchdown, even though you blew the whistle. But
just fundamentally goes against the fundamentals of officiating to say that a return after a play has been ruled dead should count. Like,
you need new fundamentals. Because we don't need to argue about it anymore. The Patriots get the ball. They score immediately. Jarrett Stidham cost his team the game. But it really cost them the game because, like I said, like the Patriots... I forgot why I even got onto this topic in the first place. The Patriots could not move the ball. They had 206 yards. Drake was sacked 5 times. Drake goes 10 of 21 for 86 yards. So, not great, but like, if I was Sean Payton, you can't, as good as your defense is, you cannot picture that you are going to hold Drake May, one of the leading MVP candidates, to that type of game. But I really thought that this game showed all of the deficiencies that this New England team still has. And it's funny to talk about this about a team that's going to the Super Bowl, which still has to be played. People don't think that, apparently. They think it's already over, but I'm just telling you, the Super Bowl still has to be played. Shocking news for some of you. But the two things I've bitched about this entire year, and I text you about this during the Rams and Seattle game, is they don't have like as good as guys like Diggs and Mac Hollins and Demario Douglas have been for them.
Mm-hmm.
They like desperately needed that guy in this game who can go out there and make a play against these defenders. And then the offensive line, shaky at best again.
Yeah.
So Drake definitely did not have a good game. There's no defending that. He now has a EPA of negative 17.7 while throwing the ball in the playoffs, which is by far the lowest of any quarterback who has ever made it to the Super Bowl. There's actually only one other quarterback who had a negative EPA and made the Super Bowl, and that was Jimmy Garoppolo, who had like a negative 0.9.
Yep.
So he's almost 17 points worse in EPA. I will say I felt like the stage felt too big for him as well. The pressure was relentless, like you said. The coverage was amazing. He desperately needed someone to make a play for him, and nobody on this offense can make a play until Drake May started making the plays himself with his legs.
Yeah.
So he was not good throwing the ball. He did run, 10 times for 65 yards and a touchdown. And that was, they get that fumble off the Jared Stidham play, and they call their first quarterback run of the game, and it's untouched up the middle for a touchdown. He made quite a few plays. Yeah. You watch that play that ended the game, the quarterback naked. He called that himself and didn't tell any of his teammates that he was doing that. So nobody in the Patriots organization except for Drake May knew what he was about to do, and he did it. And I mean, if he does that and he doesn't get it and something bad happens, then it's a what the fuck are you doing kind of play. But now that he got it, it's a legendary play. And if they do win the Super Bowl, which still has to be played, and they still have a chance to win, contrary to popular belief,
you're just
that's going to be a legend.
Confidence right now.
Oh, it's not that I'm not confident in the Patriots. I'm really pissed off that every single writer, we're going to talk about this when we start looking at the Super Bowl, but like literally everybody is picking Seattle. And ESPN even had a writer come out and say, we have now entered the 2-week coronation period for the Seattle Seahawks. It's actually quite the contrary, Matt. I think the Patriots are going to win the Super Bowl, and I want you all to be prepared for it. I'll say it right now, 20 minutes into this podcast, we're winning the fucking Super Bowl. But yeah, so anyway, I like overall my kind of takeaways from this game were I'm not going to hammer Sean Payton for the decision to go for it on fourth. I understand it, and it's results based where he didn't get it, so it was a stupid call. But if he had got it, it would have been like, oh, look, he's so smart. He's so aggressive with his backup quarterback against Drake May. What a brilliant genius. And I think like this game,
you don't have to hammer him for it. I will, because I just spent an entire season, watching a coaching staff calling plays for a roster that they don't have. And that's what that play call was.
Yeah.
You make that call with Bo Nix, probably not with Jared Stidham.
I think the lesson of this season, so like we talk about this a lot, that like offense versus defense is a cycle, and that like the nature of it is that offense innovates, and we go through like an offensive cycle where offenses are way ahead for years, and then the defense catches up, and then the offense innovates. We're in a defensive cycle right now. I think that's shown by the fact that like the 3 of the final 4 teams are like Seattle, New England, and Denver, all teams that have really good defenses. And even going back, like Houston was there. I'm missing someone else, but like a lot of really good teams were led by defenses this year instead of offenses. And the lesson of the season and the lesson of the playoffs has been just take the points while they're there.
Yeah.
So I get it from that perspective, but I won't kill him for that. My other takeaway from this game is kind of something you said earlier, is like, this has been the hallmark of Mike Vrabel coach teams, is they adjust and adapt better. Like, he's such a good coach because his team is so mentally tough and they can adjust and adapt to any situation.
Yeah.
Like, imagine being the Patriots defense and just being like, I text you this like in the third quarter. I was like, we're winning this game 10-7 or we're not winning. because we're not scoring again. It's just not happening. And the Patriots defense, you probably knew the entire game. You got a lucky break on the Stidham fumble and you get a touchdown off
Yeah.
of that, which it's lucky, but also capitalizing off of mistakes is a very important thing in the NFL. But to be the Patriots defense and just be like, we literally cannot let them score or else we are losing this game. Like every single possession, we have to stop them. And like the thing I'll say about the Patriots, they're not as talented as the Seattle Seahawks. They're not as talented as the Denver Broncos, the LA Rams. They probably weren't as talented as the Houston Texans, honestly, just from a pure talent perspective. But this team makes the plays that need to be made when they need to be made. And you saw again, like we have a practice squad guy in what's his name, Taylor, come up and blocks a field goal that probably would have gone in. He gets a hand on a field goal and knocks it offline. That would have made it 10-10. I wasn't confident in our ability to win a game that was 10-10. After what I saw, I was like, if they score again, we lose. Even like if we go to overtime, we're probably not winning that game. Right. So
no, the way that game was going, if it goes to overtime, I think
we might still be playing.
I think you need to call it and then resume the rest of the game tomorrow. Like, I don't know.
The blizzard is so bad. They're like, we're just going to do a coin flip. Like the Denver's on the sideline injecting Bo Nix with every drug known to man. And they're like, can you go now? Can you go now? Get his ass in there.
Yeah.
But I mean, the Patriots are going to the Super Bowl. They have absolutely earned the right to be there. And now we got one more game. Got one more game to win against an opponent who we'll talk about here shortly. Do we miss on anything else we need to talk about in this game? I have more Patriot points, but I want to save them for the Super Bowl preview part.
I think so. I do think it's important to try and like have some takeaways from watching the postseason and the teams that advance. And my takeaway from watching the Patriots advance to the Super Bowl is having your stars sure as hell makes a difference on defense.
Yep.
Like that, you've watched obviously significantly more Patriots football than I have this year, but that is a totally different defense with Gonzo and Milton Williams and
they're
Carlton
17-0.
Davis, like
17-0 with Gonzo and Williams in the lineup together.
Yeah, like it's just health on defense is so important because there are certain players that a defense is going to be built around. And if those players are out, typically those are special players that doesn't matter how deep you are at that position, those guys can't be replaced, right? From my position as a Lions fan, there was no one who was going to come in and replace Kirby Joseph and Brian Branch. Just, you don't replace those guys. They're all pro caliber players for a reason. And there's a reason why a defensive coordinator is going to build their defense around those guys, because they're special. Having a guy like Gonzo, who can basically take away half the field, and Milton Williams, who is just a tree stump and a rock in the middle of your defense that lets everyone else be able to do what they do best, fundamentally changes how your unit works.
The combination of Milton Williams and Christian Barmore being your interior defensive linemen is like, that's been the secret strength of the Patriots, is that they don't get a lot of like pressure off the edge, but they get a lot of pressure up the middle and they push the pocket a lot. And it's very impactful.
I mean, I've got to imagine having Milton Williams in there allows Christian Barmore to be more aggressive, because he doesn't have to worry about like basically like being the integrity guy on the defensive line.
Yeah.
So,
Game within the game for Super Bowl 60, JSN versus Gonzo on the outside. Like, it literally does not get better than that. All other things aside, that is going to be
yeah.
a hell of a watch. But let's talk about the NFC Championship and the undisputed Super Bowl champion Seattle Seahawks, who definitely do not have to play anybody in 10 days, according to the vast majority of media outlets. I want to give credit to Sam Darnold, first and foremost. He was excellent. 25 of 36, 346 and 3 touchdowns. We've asked repeatedly on this podcast, like, when is he going to explode? Is this the game? When is he going to implode? And he was awesome against the Rams.
He played great. He was the second best quarterback in that game.
Yep. But usually he's not the second best quarterback against the Rams. It would be a backup. I was thinking about this. Like, where does Sam Darnold rank for you in your quarterback hierarchy right now?
That's
like, is this game
question.
enough? Yeah, is this playoff game? Because we talked about this, like the 49ers game they won, Sam did absolutely nothing. But he was really good in the NFC Championship against a team that has been a massive, massive problem for him. Is that enough for you to like feel confident in Sam Darnold moving forward in the playoffs? Or do you need to see it in the Super Bowl first before you're like, this is a top 10 quarterback?
I mean, body of work doesn't have me confident enough to push him up to top 10. But, I mean, I think coming into the season, I probably had him somewhere between like 20 and like 14, 13, something like that. Like, that there was a real like hodgepodge of quarterbacks were in that range where I was like, I don't know, like you can do some things, but also like I don't trust you. He was kind of in that group. I think he is in that like first tier just outside of my top 10. I think it was like the 10 spot that I was all like, oh God, like who do I even feel comfortable putting at 10? I think we talked about that we both struggled with
that's kind of where
And
I'm landing right now. Is like, I started the season with him 22nd, but during the season I moved him all the way up to 12th. And I went through the other day after this game, and like it's hard because it's like I don't want to overreact to one game and be like he's top 10, and then he shits his pants in the Super Bowl, and it's like, yeah, that's Sam. But I think like after this game, I was looking at who I would definitively take over him and who I would maybe take over him. Definitively, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Matt Stafford. That's 5. Starting to get into an argument, my boy Drake May, who, like, as good as Drake was during the regular season and very much deserves to be in the MVP conversation, to this point in the playoffs, I already said he has a negative 17.7 EPA when throwing the ball. It hasn't been amazing. Jaden Daniels, he had his run last year, but missed the vast majority of this year due to injury. Baker Mayfield finished the season, what were they, 8-9?
Yeah.
Lost the division. Jared Goff and Justin Herbert was the last one. I guess
mean,
maybe you could throw Dak in there.
I don't think there's a good argument for him over Goff at this moment in time. Like,
yeah, these are just the guys that I was like, can you?
I think
I would still take all those guys.
Definitive Goff over him, but
I would still take all of those guys over him, I think. But I'm just like, this is kind of the water I'm starting to swim in. Is like, okay, he was excellent in the NFC Championship. If he's awesome in the Super Bowl and they win, So
Yeah.
first of all, he's the first guy in his draft class to lead his team to the Super Bowl. A draft class that included Baker Mayfield, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
So that's one thing that's kind of hilarious, is that Sam Darnold is maybe going to be the first guy to get it done. Maybe it hasn't happened yet, as people would have you believe.
But he's gotten there, and that's. The phrase is half the battle, but it's actually like way more than half the battle.
It's a big portion of it, but
I mean, 95% of the battle. So.
Even if they lose, if he's awesome, I think you can start having some conversations. There was kind of my thing. I mean, you also have to consider he has the best wide receiver in the NFL, who JSN just had 10 catches for 153 and a touchdown against the Rams in the NFC Championship.
Yeah.
So that's awesome.
I think I would also just add that, I feel like these past 2 years with Darnold have really proven how much the ecosystem around a quarterback matters. I still fully believe if you're getting pressure on Sam Darnold, he's probably going to turn back into a pumpkin. However,
how would you feel about interior pressure from Milton Williams and Christian Barmore in his face for 60 minutes?
That not great.
48 minutes, whatever it is.
However, the entire offensive approach from Seattle is designed to limit that as much as humanly possible, right? The focus on the run game, all of the play action, these are all things that are going to limit and slow down a pass rush. And it's easy to forget because we all remember the seeing ghosts line like it was yesterday, but Sam Darnold is a veteran quarterback now. He's been around for quite a while. So yeah, he should be able to, in these nice play action setups that he gets, get the ball out pretty quick, and so this isn't me trying to besmirch him, but the reality is that if you don't put a quarterback in a situation where they have to be the hero, they look a hell of a lot better.
Yeah. On the flip side of this game, you mentioned that Sam Darnold was the second best quarterback in this game.
Yeah.
Stafford was excellent as well. He was 22 of 35 for 374 and 3 touchdowns against a much better defense. But I was thinking about what a massive missed opportunity this year is for Stafford as far as his legacy is concerned. So the Rams get the ball 1st and 10 from Seattle's 12 with 6:29 left in this game, down 31-27, whatever it is. And they go 6-yard pass, 0-yard run, incompletion, ball back to Seattle with 4:59 left. So, I mean, if they score the touchdown there's no telling if Seattle, maybe Seattle goes down and scores and it doesn't matter anyways.
Yeah.
But I was just thinking about if he gets that touchdown and it's the game-winning touchdown in the NFC Championship and they go on and win the Super Bowl, I feel like that catapults Matt Stafford into a new tier as far as who are the greatest quarterbacks of all time conversation. So I'll see how you feel about this, but I was going through and just I'm not ranking this is in no particular order, but I was just thinking that you have the tier 1 is the elitist of the elite quarterbacks of all time. So
tier Brady, 1, Tom Brady.
Yeah. Tom Brady should be in his own tier. But I said Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes, Joe Montana, Peyton Manning. Those are typically and I'm not talking just about me personally. I'm kind of talking about the unanimous opinion of this stuff is like those are probably going to be the vast majority of people's top 4 in some order. Tier 2 is like this Elway, Breeze, Marino, Steve Young, Unitas. I put Staubach in there. Some of like the old heads will be like, oh, Roger Staubach was the, so that's kind of so that's 10.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah. So that's like 10 in some order. Then you have this like tier 3. It's more like modern guys of like, where do we place these modern guys? So this is where I have Stafford. I also have Aaron Rodgers, Brett Favre, Ben Roethlisberger. I guess Russell Wilson maybe belongs in this conversation. And then there's probably a tier, right, like tier 4 right below these guys. And it's like Phillip Rivers, Matt Ryan, Josh Allen kind of tier. I feel like if Matt Stafford had like won this NFC Championship and then they win the Super Bowl and it's like, okay, he's got 2 rings. He is probably going to win an MVP again this season, like maybe win Super Bowl MVP. I think that catapults him not only to being in the top of that tier 3 conversation, but you're probably putting him in that tier 4 or the tier 2 with like Elway and Breeze and Marino and those guys. Historically, at least, like I know your rankings may be different as someone who's watched almost every throw of Matt Stafford's career. Yeah. But I mean, like as a kind of more of a unanimous like opinion of where he ranks in the hierarchy.
Yeah. It's funny. I think the general public would actually have Aaron Rodgers at least a tier higher, if not on the verge of that first tier, which I vehemently disagree with.
I know. That's why I put him in tier 3. Yep. Like I'm not gonna.
I think you placed him perfectly. Because if he had gotten another Super Bowl this year, I think for me personally, that definitively would put him above Aaron Rodgers.
I think I have him above Aaron Rodgers anyway.
Yeah.
And I'm not like you love Matt Stafford. You've loved him for a long time. I like Matt Stafford, but I'm not like a Matt Stafford homer. I would take him over Aaron Rodgers. I think prime versus prime, but that's just me.
It just it's funny because like people are seeing what he's doing now and they're like, oh my God. And I'm like, he's been doing this forever.
Yeah.
And well, it's just like
he's something like I'm going to get these reversed, but I think he's 5th in career pass yards and 6th in career pass touchdowns.
Yep.
Right now. And he said he's going to play next year. So he's going to finish top 5 or even better in both of those stats. Yeah. So he's won a Super Bowl. He's going to have an MVP probably. He hasn't won MVP before, right? This would be his first one.
No.
Okay. So he's going to have an MVP. He's going to win a Super Bowl, or he has a Super Bowl. But if he had like 2 Super Bowls, when you're looking at like, okay, Elway's got 2, Steve Young has 2, Marino has none, but like the stats, what Marino was doing in the time that he was doing it,
yeah,
so unassailable.
Yeah, you really can't deny how good of a player he was. Now, you and I have also both had the conversation that good and greatness are 2 different kinds of things that you're measuring. He's one where that gets really messy because of the lack of postseason accomplishment.
Yeah, which is fair. Breeze is probably going to be like the best comp for Stafford, just like he has 1 Super Bowl. We'll see. I mean, we'll see if Matt Stafford makes it to another one, but Breeze just went to the one, won it, but his stats are like, again, insane.
Unassailable.
Yeah. But Stafford's going to be up there.
Yeah.
With all those guys statistically, but also one thing that's hard to place about those tier 3 guys Rodgers, Stafford, Ben Roethlisberger, and like even the tier below them, Phillip Rivers and Matt Ryan, they all came up during the passing boom where like passing stats were getting absolutely insane and people were throwing for high 4s and 5s and like stuff frequently. And now that's kind of going away again. So it's like, it's almost like looking at the home run hitters during the steroid era and like their numbers just being way more insane than everybody else and being like, well, how do we
Yeah.
place that historically? But I think the longevity speaks for itself with Stafford. But anyway, for like as far as the NFC Championship goes, I know this is a point that we're both going to agree on. The Rams special teams cost them this game.
100%.
Absolutely. So it's 17-13 coming out of half. The Rams get this massive sack on Sam Darnold to force a punt. Seattle punts it, and what's his name? Xavier Smith has one of the more embarrassing muff punts that you will ever see in any football game. Like he's gonna catch it, and then he's not gonna catch it, so he has to like go backwards, and he falls, and it hits him in the face. Seattle gets it, immediately scores the next play, and it's 24-13, and momentum is just completely gone. After that, it goes Rams touchdown, Seattle touchdown, Rams touchdown. That was the end of the scoring. Basically, it's 31-27.
Remember the actual stat, but like when you get, well, wasn't exactly that, but like when you get essentially like a special teams touchdown, like your odds of winning that game go up astronomically. This wasn't technically a special teams touchdown, but it basically was because they scored on the very next play.
I'm not an expert, so I'll just ask the question. How hard is it to find somebody who can catch a punt in the NFL? Right? Like this dude
harder
muffed
than I
two.
thought it was.
Apparently, why can like the Rams not find somebody to catch a punt after this dude muffed the first one?
They've not been the
Why
only
would you put him
team
back
this
out
year
there?
that struggled with that too. Like it's been a few teams where that's been an issue.
Honestly, if I was Sean McVay, and maybe this is a stupid thing to say, but after I saw him muff the first one, I would have just put like Puka Nacua out there and been like, just fair catch it. Just get us the ball. We're moving the ball fantastically. Or like Devontae Adams or Kyron Williams, someone who could just catch the fucking ball when it falls out of the sky. And not this dude who's going to trip over his own damn feet and fumble the ball on the 17-yard line. Right? So we're talking about talking about Stidham costing the Broncos the game after how amazing their defense played. Xavier Smith absolutely did the same thing. It was like the same play almost, right? Like where it's just a stupid, you give them the ball and give them a score they never should have had. I don't know. Maybe it's a lot harder to find somebody in the NFL who can catch a goddamn punt than I think it is.
Yeah. And I mean, like, if you're Sean McVay, this just has to be eating you alive because they're kind of the only team all year long that's been able to solve this Seattle defense. They have been able to go at them constantly. So I'm really interested to see how those matchups play out next year because obviously, Mike Mack's gonna change some things up because he's not gonna be happy about that regardless of the wins. But like, yeah, if you're Sean McVay, like you have to feel like you had the secret sauce and it literally slipped through your fingers.
Yeah. But I also don't understand why the Rams can't find someone to figure out the special teams. Like, is this just like Sean McVay's biggest weakness? Is like that we just talked about this. We talked about this in the preview last week. We were like, listen, if the Rams lose this game, the special teams are going to come back to bite them in the ass. And they absolutely bit them in the ass. It was like 2 or 3 years ago, the Rams had the worst special teams of all time by DVOA.
Yeah.
And it cost them in the playoffs that year too. And it's like, how hard is it? Like, 31 other teams don't have this problem. It's just you that has this problem year after year after year. Why can you not figure this out? Is it a McVay thing? Do they just keep bringing the wrong people in? Like,
there is no salary cap on coaches, so
just bring in 10 special teams coordinators and just fucking throw. I would just be throwing so many assets at this problem, because how can you let special teams cost you over and over and over again?
Yeah.
It's so bad. It's like the Rams just forget there's a third phase to the game. They're like, hey, we got the best offense in the league. Defense is good enough. Let's go. And it's like, you keep losing to the team that has the best special teams in the league in Seattle, or like close to it. So,
yeah.
First thoughts on Super Bowl 60. I mentioned this earlier. There was a writer, I forget exactly who it was, at ESPN, who said that we have entered the 2-week coronation period for the Seattle Seahawks. So I went through and I looked at all of the major publications. ESPN had 12 writers pick the game. All 12 picked the Seattle Seahawks. Micah Parsons picked Seattle. We have 5 writers from USA Today who picked Seattle. 7 writers from the New York Times all picked Seattle. Seth Rollins was on ESPN picking Seattle. Every single ESPN personality on every single show is picking Seattle. They find me one person, one media person who is picking the New England Patriots to win this game. And I agree. On paper, like in theory, it is very hard to find where the Patriots are going to have an advantage against the Seattle Seahawks. And that I understand why all these people would pick against the Patriots, because they're all absolute cowards and want to be wrong. What I will say, I don't hate this spot for Mike Vrabel. If you're going to be an underdog in the Super Bowl, and everyone's going to pick against you, everyone is expecting Seattle to win. I literally can barely find anybody, any like media members who are going to be picking the Patriots. There are not very many people that I would prefer to lead the charge for my team than Mike Vrabel, because he is absolutely going to be in every single player's face for these 2 weeks, showing them like, look, everyone's picking against you. They've already crowned Seattle. They think that you suck. This is awful. Blah, blah, blah. Like, you guys, you might as well not even show up to this game. You've already lost. Don't even get off the bus.
He's going to channel his inner Dennis Green.
Mike Vrabel loves this spot. This spot. He's fucking loving this.
Any coach that is a true leader of men lives for this shit.
Yeah.
They, like, to them, the worst thing about winning is that the more you win, the less you get to be in this spot.
Yeah. To be the AFC champions and be in this spot with Mike Vrabel is just like, this is like almost ideal for Vrabel. Like, obviously you'd rather just be the better team, but aside from that, this is like an ideal spot for Vrabel, where it's not like, 60-40. It's like 99.1% of people picking Seattle. And what I will tell you, I can't guarantee the Patriots will win this game. What I can guarantee is that Mike Vrabel's not going to let them get embarrassed. Right? Like this, people were saying like, oh, it's Seattle 56, Patriots 14.
There are people who are like predicting that against the Rams.
Yeah, I just can't see that happening to a Mike Vrabel coach team, with how mentally tough they are, how they're able to adapt. But the other piece of this, I feel like all of the pressure has been on the Patriots in every game they've played. So first, it's like the Chargers in Houston, and it's like you got something to prove because you won 14 games and nobody respects you. And it's, schedule. So there's a lot to prove in both those games. This week, it's like at Denver, first career road playoff game for Drake. And you're playing Stidham, and it's like, oh, you absolutely cannot lose to Stiddy. no, like if you guys blow this, this is going to be the worst thing. You can't lose to him in an AFC
Yeah.
Championship. All of that pressure is flipping in this game. There is no pressure on the Patriots. Nobody expects you to win, right? So all of the pressure is on Sam Darnold in Seattle of this, like, this is the best team in the
Yeah.
league. DVOA says that they are gods. And um, I'd just be really interested to see, like, two things. It's like, now that the pressure is off, can Drake May play a little bit like looser and more free and just like, fuck it, like whatever happens out there happens out there. I'm just gonna like get back to being myself and not kind of what he's been in the playoffs so far. And then, Drake May is from North Carolina. He's played in warm weather his entire life. These playoffs have been absolutely brutal weather-wise, which I think has been beneficial for our defense in some of these matchups, but
Yeah.
not something that Drake is used to. And Drake's been wearing like short sleeves in a blizzard in Denver. And like, I'm not saying that that's the only reason he's been bad, but 60-degree weather in San
He has to warn
Francisco.
about the Matt Stafford scuba suit.
Excuse me, the Tom Brady scuba suit. Tom Brady did that first, but yes, that people on the Patriots sub were begging him,
Yeah.
like, please next year, please wear the scuba suit under your uniform. But
Yeah.
it's going to be in San Francisco. It should be nice, not too hot, but not cold. It's going to be in the 60s probably for this game in San Francisco. Is that maybe a little bit more of a comfortable situation for him? So like pressure's off, weather's nice. Unfortunately, you are going up against the number one defense by DVOA this season and a team that has been very good. But
Yeah.
I mean, two things can be true. Like Seattle should be favored in this game. It is also an absolute fool's errand to continue to underestimate this Patriots team. People have just been begging for it this entire season. And last week you said to me, like, what's the most painful thing that can happen to a Patriots fan? You lose to another backup quarterback. Matt, I will ask you, what is the most painful thing that can happen to the NFL as a whole? That we rebuilt after 5 seasons and we're back and we win another Super Bowl.
With the young, promising quarterback.
Everybody would be so fucking pissed off if we win the Super Bowl, which makes me think that it just might happen. It's like
might be the only thing that can happen.
I feel like I'm on the opposite side of this for the first time, because I watched the Patriots beat the Rams in 2001, but I was 11 years old and couldn't really understand things yet. But all the other Patriots Super Bowls, we were favored. We were never the underdogs. We were never the team that was being overlooked. And now we're on the other side. And I'm like, God, this is like how the Giants felt the 2 times they beat us. And this is how Philly felt it's how the 6 teams we beat probably felt as well. But I was like, this is how it feels. It's like everybody's overlooking you. And you're like, hey, man, don't overlook us. It's one game. Anything can happen in that 48 minutes or however long you play a football game for. I always fuck it up. It's 48 minutes in basketball, 60 minutes in football. Anything can happen in that 60 minutes. Sam Darnold could go out there and shit his pants.
Everyone needs to remember that the Carolina Panthers saved their 2 best games of the year for the Rams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So all I'm going to say this week, we'll make picks. We'll do the breakdown next week. I think you probably all know who I'm going to pick. I'm not going to pick against my fucking team.
I mean, and for the Seahawks, like my takeaway, the thing I learned, it's not so much like the thing that I learned, it's more the thing that the Seahawks reaffirmed. The trenches are everything. Offensive line, they massively invested in that this past offseason, significantly improved the talent on their offensive line, as well as brought in an offensive coordinator whose scheme was also going to put them in a position where they're not going to, basically be asked to pass block all the time. And that is when offensive lines tend to start to fall apart. That's how defenses are able to attack the weak links, right? Is when you let these guys just get picked apart by pass protection too often. Again, heavy run offense, heavy play action for this team. Other side of the ball, I get that there are definitely other defensive lines in the NFL that have bigger household names than what Seattle has. I don't think that there is another defensive line in the NFL that is as deep and ferocious and relentless in that it doesn't matter who comes onto the field. It's just another killer than Seattle has. And it's brutal to have to go up against that. At a certain point when you can just win at the line of scrimmage and that's the game, feels pretty fucking good. I would like for my team to get back to that.
Yeah. My team's done it defensively this entire season as well. So it'll be interesting. Like, obviously you have Gonzo versus JSN. You're talking about the interior of that Seattle line versus Barmore and Milton Williams, who we've talked about. And then on the other side, it's like, how does the Patriots offense get going against a Seattle unit that has been the best by DVOA on defense this season?
Yeah.
We'll talk about that all in detail next week. The only message I want to leave you guys with is just don't count my team out. I'm just going to warn everybody, don't do it. But that is it for us. As always, Fouled Out can be found on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Cast, Overcast, anywhere you get your podcast. You can hit us up on Gmail, fouledoutsports@gmail.com. You can watch the podcast and all of our videos on YouTube. Go check that out. Like and subscribe. Appreciate you guys supporting however you support. Before we say goodbye, NBA take of the week. Matt, what do you got?
I think I sent you my take in an image earlier. I think the Pistons have potentially surpassed OKC as the best defensive team in the NBA. There was a graphic posted that had the best duos in terms of like defending like pick and roll and like off ball picks and all that stuff between like the ball defender and the screen defender. The Pistons had out of the top 10 that they showed, 3 separate duos on that list. They accounted for 30% of the list.
That is pretty good. Very high likelihood I was asleep in my son's bed when you sent me that because I missed that. But my take this week is we are not giving the Orlando Magic enough shit. Like, I was just thinking,
is it possible to do that?
I was thinking about this the other day. So Orlando is 23-22. They're playing right now. So we'll see what the score is. They're up on the Heat in the fourth quarter. So maybe they'll be 24-22 by the time you guys hear this. But prior to playing tonight, they're 23-22. They have a point differential of -0.4, signifying that they are actually just bad. Like, they're not a good basketball team. All of this from a team that just traded away 4 first-round picks this offseason to bring in Desmond Bane from the Memphis Grizzlies because he was the missing piece that would put them over the top in the Eastern Conference this year, an Eastern Conference that was supposed to be very weak and maybe is not as weak as once thought with the Pistons, and now like the Celtics are pretty good without Jason Tatum. Desmond Bane has been okay, but not I wouldn't say he's been great. He's 19, 4.5 and 4.5 for the season, but every single efficiency stat is down. So 3-point percentage, effective field goal percentage, PER, his box plus minus actually suggests that the Orlando Magic are better when he's off the court than when he's on it because he has a negative BPM. This team grossly misread their standings in not only in the NBA but in the Eastern Conference. They thought they were a contender and they made an all-in move for we're going to win the Eastern Conference this year. And if this was like New York or LA or a bigger market, I honestly feel like we would be hearing about Desmond Bane and the Orlando Magic every single day on every single show. There would be podcasts about how badly they fucked up. There would be ESPN would talk about it on all these. If this was the Lakers, people would be losing their goddamn minds. The Lakers are 8 games above 500, but Luka's not playing defense and people are losing their minds about the Lakers.
About Luka playing the same amount of defense that he's always played.
As always, but trading away 4 first round, and I made this point when they made the trade. I was like, we're the Orlando Magic. Nothing bad has ever happened to us. We definitely don't have a long and storied history of picking first overall in the NBA draft. I would, first of all, I would just never trade away future unprotected first. We were just talking about this the other day with the Pelicans, is that the Pelicans are one of the bottom 3 teams in the NBA and maybe giving away a top 3 pick to the Hawks this year in exchange for Derek Queen in a draft where the top 3 guys are just going to be elite prospects.
Yep.
But with Orlando, Orlando is not going to be that bad, but holy shit, man, you're just barely above 500. A little bit over halfway through the season. Point differential says this is not a luck thing. You are just bad. And I feel like everybody just ignores it because it's the Orlando Magic, but that is a bad trade. It is a bad trade in retrospect. I didn't like it at the time.
I also, his counting stats are fine, but man, if I look back at the way we were talking about Paolo Banchero in our top 30, I want to take everything back. Yeah. He has, like I said, the stats are fine, but he's been a massive disappointment in what was an opportunity to hey, you got a shooter around you, right? You want to be one of those top 15 type of players. This is when that happens, your game needs to be elevating, and that is not happening.
Yeah, we talked about him as the dude we felt had the most potential to make the biggest jump this season. It's wow, if the Magic are good and he's great in the playoffs for them, that's easily a dude that's going to get way better votes. And now I'm looking at him is he going to be in our top 30? With our criteria and the kind of voting that we have, we've left out better players. I'll say that.
Well, he will probably still be in mine, but y'all left Cade out.
I was gonna say he'll be in mine too. Well, we didn't leave Cade out last season. It was the year before.
Yeah.
But that's what I was saying. We've left out better players from the consensus voting. It might not be one of the 2 of our fault, but these things happen in the consensus voting. It's you have him 25, I have him 27, and the other 2 guys don't vote for him at all. And all of a sudden he's 32nd on the list. And we're how is he not on the list? And Steven Adams, who's out for the season, is again.
Steven Adams at 7 in Clint's rankings.
Can't help himself. But Matt,
I do believe that I am going to do a joke and a real one, and I'm not going to tell you which one is which, but you're going to figure it out immediately.
I hope I can. Sometimes I look at the voting and I'm since it's you, I'll probably be able to figure it out. But I look at some of the other votes and go, this is why we do it this way. But Matt and I will be back next week with the full Super Bowl breakdown show with picks and narratives and breakdowns and props and fake props and all of the fun things. But until next week, buddy, I will see you soon.
Yep. Bye,
Bye,
guys.
guys. Bye, mom.
Bye, Robin.